Hello, welcome back. My name is Judith. I am one half of the Nutty Nitty Sisters. Together with my sister Julie, we create videos sharing our love of all things fibery and the fiber arts. If this is your first time joining, welcome. We definitely appreciate you clicking on the video. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back time and time again and viewing our videos. This is the third video in a series of videos about a fiber study that I'm doing with Maine Fiber Workshop. I first came across Maine Fiber Workshop at a fibery event and immediately signed up. I am so excited to be doing this breed study. I am a bit behind. It is mid-November and my November box is on the way, and I've yet to spin my October box, but I'm excited to begin this month. I will include a link up here to the playlist that includes the other videos that I have done so far, including Lonk Fiber and Teeswater Fiber, which both were extremely fun. So this fiber study is provided by Maine Fiber Workshop. Kendra creates a beautiful box of luscious fiber, and you can choose between a 4-ounce or an 8-ounce braid. You can begin anytime and cancel anytime. So if you would like more information, just go to mainfiberworkshop.com or click on the link below. No affiliation. And it's a lovely time. There's a beautiful group of people on a Facebook group that you will have access to, as well as some Zoom spinning coming up. So this month's fiber, or rather October's fiber, was Cormo. And what a beautiful fiber. I have already begun sampling some. So here's the card that you receive with your box and her details. So she gives you a little information. She also includes a little newsletter. And these cards are great for storing a little sample of the fiber, some spin samples, and just a great record of everything that you're doing. So Cormo is originally from Tasmania, Australia. It is typically a white wool. The staple length is 3 1/4 to 5 inches. The micron count is 17 to 23, which makes it a fine wool. They are bred from Corriedale rams and merino ewes. It's a crimpy fiber that provides elasticity. The spun yarn can have a nice bloom. It's typically suited for next to skin projects. So this is the braid that I've kind of taken apart to play with. And you can see it is a beautiful, lovely, nice white fiber. And you can also see that the crimp has kind of restored to this little piece because I've taken it out of the braid and I've been pulling some fiber off of it to sample. And you can see how it's actually changed a little bit, and you still have that little bit of crimpy from the fiber, which is so squishy and beautiful. So I did a little additional research with the Fleece and Fiber source book. This is a fabulous book if you're wanting to learn about woolly things. And I found it very interesting that the reason these sheep were created was a farmer in Tasmania was looking to change some genetics about his flock and increase the fertility, the frame size, and the yield of fleece, and ended up with this mix. It was Anne Downey and Helen Newton Turner. Helen was a leading geneticist, and Downey was a farmer who raised superfine Saxon merinos. So their goal was to increase the size of these sheep, the amount of fleece that they produce, as well as making them a little more fertile. And it succeeded because Cormo sheep typically are 150 to 200 pound rams at full grown size. The ewes are about 120 to 160 pounds. They are a very hardy sheep. They can live in hot climates, hot and dry, and they also do very well in cold winter, snowy climates. So definitely an all-around climate sheep. They are easygoing, quiet, and they have strong flocking instincts. So they like to kind of stick together. They are often coated to protect their wool because their wool is so super fine. A lot of farmers will coat the wool to keep it protected, and it does fairly well. But because the fleece grows so fast, coating has to be changed frequently, increased in size to avoid the wool getting neppy. They were first imported into the United States in 1976 with 12 ewes and 2 rams. Then later in 1979, 500 ewes and 25 rams were brought over, and the rest is history. So as far as the wool itself goes, it's again a fine wool, is short staple, crimpy. It is very elastic and has a matte finish. So recommended a delicate touch because it is such a fine diameter. Manhandling it, so to speak, as you're drafting would not be very successful because it's so fine it would break the fiber. So you really have to be very gentle as you're drafting it. Also recommended that you do not overwork it because it will create those little neps if you overwork the fiber. Fine tooth carding is okay if it's a few passes through the carding, and that will help you avoid the neps. And it indicated that sampling is very important. Fleeces are typically about 12 pounds. So because sampling is so important, I made several samples, and here is what we came up with. I spun all of these. The single I spun on a 1 to 10.5 ratio, and then I applied them at a 1 to 7.5 ratio. Because of the way that the singles come out, I didn't want to overply them, so I went with a little bit slower whirl on the plying. So this one is a short forward draw 2-ply. This one is from the fold 2-ply. And then we have a short forward chain plied yarn. And then this is the from the fold chain plied yarn. Now I'm not great at from the fold, so it's very inconsistent. I love the stretch of the chain ply. You can see how it gives just a little bit, and you have a nice bounce with that one. The from the fold chain ply also has that stretch and bounce, and it's a nice round yarn. The 2-ply I found didn't have quite as much bounce, and it's not quite as nice and round. So I really do like the chain plied, although I'm not great at it. And I like the consistency of the short forward draw. I had a few whoopsies, but for the most part, it's pretty consistent. So I think the way I'm going to do this is short forward draw, and then chain ply it. And that will make it nice because it can all go on one bobbin, and then I can just chain ply it off. I don't know the diameter, what I'm going to shoot for. I think I'm going to just kind of play with the fiber at the beginning of the single, see where it wants to go, and go from there. Just see what comes of it, and then we'll decide what it's going to grow up to be. So that's the fiber. Again, it's such a beautiful, lovely, gorgeous fiber. Just stunning. It's so soft and so lovely. I have spun Cormo before, so I'm very excited to spin this. And that's it. We will see you on the other side of the bobbin. Bye! Hello, it has been a while. I just edited the video, the first part of this video where I was talking about the fiber, and oh my goodness, I cannot believe it is mid-January already, and that one was recorded in November and it was October's box, so I still have November, December, and yes, I've received January's box as well, so I need to get motivated. And this is proper motivation. I was able to finish both of the singles of the Cormo fiber and they came out great. The other bobbin is on the wheel at the moment because I am in the process of plying it. And this single is so squishy. It's amazing. So I'm super excited to get it finished now, and I have it on the eel wheel. I am chain plying it, which isn't my strongest method of plying. However, I am getting better at it. I decided to do both the spinning and the plying on the eel wheel just because it does give me a much more consistent twist. And I just love Cormo. This is the squishiest yarn on the planet. It's coming out great on the bobbin. I'm hoping it keeps the characteristics that it has right now through the washing process as well. The twist is looking great. The diameter of the yarn is looking consistent, and I am absolutely loving it. I can't wait to share it with you. So I'm going to get going and see if I can get it finished before the end of the year, perhaps. I'll see you on the other side. Hello, I am back and I have finished plying the singles for the Cormo fiber. I am pretty excited to show you the difference in the two skeins. So the singles that I spun came out at about 16 to 18 wraps per inch, and then I chain plied that. I really had no preconceived notion of what the yarn would be, but I was hoping for somewhere between a fingering and a DK. So the initial skein before I washed it looked like it was going to be a fingering skein of yarn. But after I washed it, and we'll go down here to the desk and show you. So this is the washed skein of yarn, and the plied yarn is coming in more at like 8. Some places it's 8, some places it's 10. So I'm going to call it like an Aran or a worsted weight. It might be like a light worsted. But you can see just how plump and yummy the yarn is. It has a lot of give, so when I hold the strands, you can see they have a lot of bounce to them. There's a lot of stretch to those plies. It is a very squishy yarn, very soft. And now by comparison, I want to show you the skein that has not been washed yet. Look at this. It is kinky. The singles still have tons of energy in them. It is completely different from the washed yarn. And it actually comes in at between 12 and 14 wraps per inch. So if you remember at the beginning of the video, I talked about how Cormo fiber blooms a little bit. And in the resource books that I looked at, it talked about how the fiber can bloom and grow when it's finished. So it's really important to sample your fiber when you're spinning to make sure that you're getting what you're hoping to get. And I mean, this proves it. This is the exact same fiber spun the exact same way by the same spinner. I tried very hard to stay consistently between 14 to 18 wraps per inch. And these are totally different yarns. This yarn doesn't have any stretch at all compared to this yarn, which stretches and bounces. I mean, it's just crazy the difference. Now, I really want to show you something amazing. This is the unspun skein of yarn. And look how it wraps around itself. There's so much energy. It is definitely not a balanced skein of yarn. The other skein did the same thing before I washed it. And look at it now. It is so unbelievably balanced. There is no energy left in those singles at all. And they are the same thing. When this one is washed, it will look exactly like this. It's incredible. They are so incredibly different. So I'm going to go wash this one, and then I'll come back with all the details. How many yards I got, how many wraps per inch they are, all the details once this one is washed and looks more like its more like its sister. All right, I'll be back. Hello, I have finished the last of the yarn. I have two beautiful skeins of Cormo fiber. They turned out so lovely. I am so happy. So here are the final results of this spin. They both came out at about 10, 11. One was 10 wraps per inch and this one was 11 wraps per inch. So that is a worsted weight. This one is 105 grams and it came out to 199.9 meters or 218.6 yards. This one was 102 grams and the length was 200.5 meters, 219.27 yards. So definitely you can see the difference between 10 reps per inch and 11 reps per inch. Although they are both considered worsted, there's a considerable difference between the yardage and 102 and 105 grams. So really interesting. So the way that I did my yardage on these yarns is a little bit unscientific. The meter reader that I use, meter reader, is that a thing? The yarn does tend to slip through it a little bit when it gets loose, when the tension is loose between the reader and the swift. So I do lose some yardage that way. I also reset the meter after I have at least 2 wraps onto the Niddy Noddy, because I do want a little margin of error here, and I want to margin on the side of caution. In other words, I don't want to say that this is 200 yards of yarn and be absolutely precise when yarn can grow and shrink depending on the humidity levels. So as this yarn gets more humidity into it, it can plump, or less humidity, it can shrink. And it also depends on, how taut I leave them in the skeins, or how taut I wind them into a ball. So there's always a little margin of error. So I do tend to err on the side of caution. And if the yarn slips through the meter and I lose a little bit of meterage here and there, I find that an acceptable variance, because it is in my favor and I won't run out of yarn in a project with these skeins. So that's my whole process. Future breed study videos won't have as much detail in them. I just realized that I hadn't shared some of those details up until now and thought I would share them in this video. So there's the Cormo fiber. I'm so excited. So what's next? Next on the breed study is I don't know how to pronounce this, so if you can leave me the right pronunciation in the comments, I would appreciate it. I've heard some people call it Zwarbles, and I've heard some people call it Zwarpless. I am inclined to say it's Zwarpless, but I could be wrong, so please let me know. But here it is. It is a beautiful, absolutely stunning, gorgeous, deep, dark brown fiber. And I'm so excited to spin this. It smells amazing. It is a little toothy, little different than the nice, soft micron fat count of the Cormo. But we will see what this brings in our next breed study. Until then, thank you so much for watching. I am so glad you came along on this journey with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.